Hey guys, it's Hayes with CheatSheetPros.com. Today is the day before NFL Week 3 kicks off, and I wanted to do some type of a video or breakdown. The sports betting picks I already put in the premium chat, and I posted the one from Buffalo on Thursday, but I wanted to take a look at some props and some different games and go ahead and take a look at it. You may have noticed I put this Tic-Tac-Toe board in there. So I want to just explain real quick what this is. So it's not profitable. You're not going to get rich quick doing this, but it's very entertaining and it's a lot of fun. So deposit some money, light it on fire, and have some fun with it. So what you do is you take basically same game parlays or individual props, and you can crank them up as high as you want to, and you put them in a tic-tac-toe board like a 3x3 grid, and then I bet them horizontally. So the top three across is one bet. It pays plus 560. The middle three pays plus 17. Bottom three pays plus 500. And then vertically 405, 625, 815. And then you do caddy corner, diagonal 605. And then this one is 485. And then I always do the X, which I think was around 20 to 1. And then I do the blackout. I ran out of some squares on the blackout, and for some reason it wouldn't accept the Pollard rushing attempt. So my blackout is all of these plays except for Pollard rushing attempts. And then I also didn't put in this Cincy square just because that's the one that's kind of I didn't really know about, so I left that one off. But it paid plus 14,500 or 145 to 1. So like $2.50 paid 300 and some odd dollars. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to take a look at some of these plays on here that I like. Now, typically when I've done these in the past, I've made it where each square is at least plus 200 or better, and then it really cranks up these payouts. They're very hard to hit, but if you ever hit an X or a blackout or 2 or 3 lines, it's going to pay really good. This one I dumbed it down a little bit to try to make it more of like a bankroll builder, so to speak. So let's go ahead. I'm going to shrink this down and then take a look at some of the plays as we flip through the sheet. So as always, we pull over here. I'm going to use the game logs tab. This is going to be the main one that we flip through. So this first Washington-Vegas game, I don't want anything to do with it. Daniels isn't playing. I'm not a fan of Vegas. We're going to throw that one out. So Indy, this is one of my favorite games. I think Indy can just absolutely run away from this, but without getting into the weeds, a couple of the props that I like. So for this one, we did... Okay, so here's our Indy square. We did Daniel Jones, 200 plus passing yards, Indy plus 4.5, Pollard 14 rush attempts. So looking at this, in Daniel Jones' first 2 games, he threw for 272 and 316, and his prop is 210. So he absolutely annihilated that. So I think he easily goes over 210. The one thing I worry about is Jonathan Taylor, but in both of these games, I mean, in this last game, Taylor rushed for 165 yards, and he still threw for 316, so I think he can easily throw for it. If you want to get wild, you can do an anytime touchdown at plus 220 for Daniel Jones. He's got 3 in 2 games, and he's rushed 7 and 6 times, so that's something that's a little bit sneaky. I was going to put the Jonathan Taylor rush yards in there, but you really need to get 80 or 90 yards to do anything with it. So I left that one off just because I have Taylor in a lot of fantasy leagues, so that's enough for me. But the one that did jump out for me is Tony Pollard, his rush attempts. He ran 18 times against Denver in week 1 and 20 times week 2 against the Rams. So I thought 14 plus was pretty easy. I mean, the only guy behind him is Julius Chestnut, and he's got 2 attempts week 1, none week 2. So Pollard's getting the majority of the rushing attempts, so even if he gets 7 in the first half, 7 in the second half, that's plenty. And then down here, I didn't really have anything. These receivers aren't really doing much. Pittman you could take a look at, but 4 catches, 5 targets, 40 yards. I wasn't real excited about that. And then Ridley, 3 for 57 and 4 for 27. Nothing I really want there. Tyler Warren would probably be the guy I would go after. 7 targets, 4 catches, 79 yards, 76 in the first week. He'd be the one I'd put in there, but instead I went with plus 4.5 for Indy because I think they can win this game and cover the 3.5 or 4 points. So we're going to go with them for that square. And then over here, Tampa. I didn't want to do this game. I wanted to stay away from it with Tyrod playing. The line's good. I think Tampa wins somewhere close to that line. Baker hasn't really been tearing it up this year, 170, 215 yards. The thing I did like with this, because I needed another game to plug in there, was I took Bucky Irving 3+ catches. So that's basically over 2.5 receptions. He's got 10 in the last 2 games. They were both close games, so I think he should be able to squeak out 3. And then I didn't know where to go with this other one. I didn't want to do Breece Hall. He had a huge week 1, and then last week against Buffalo, 10 carries, 29 yards, only 2 catches. Nothing really jumps out at me here. So I ended up going with Amika, the rookie here, for just 3 grabs. He's got 13 targets in 2 games. Not a ton of yardage. He's been getting in the end zone and targeted in the end zone, so he's been doing really well. But this is probably a little bit riskier win, but 4 grabs week 1, 4 grabs week 2, over 2.5 for this one. I went ahead and took that as a square just because I needed something to fill, but again, it's not my favorite. The Rams, this one's pretty easy. If you scroll down here to the bottom and look at this target chart, all of the targets right here are Puka and Devontae Adams. There's no one else that's gobbling up any targets. So Puka's got 11 and 9, and Adams has 8 and 13. So those are the main 2 guys. So I just took the receptions, and I believe the receptions there was Puka 6, Adams 4, and then I took 200+ passing yards for Stafford. And you can see here he's got 245, 298, so 200+, he should be able to do that. That is not unheard of by any means. And then coming down here to the next game, New England Pitt, I almost put this one in there, but I went ahead and went with the Bucks game. I stayed away from that one. Minnesota, Cincinnati with Carson Wentz playing. Not real excited about that. Jake Browning, though. Cincinnati can't run the ball. You can see here 21 for 43, 16 for 47. They're trying to run the ball. They just can't. And Chase Brown cannot get free, and behind him, P. Ryan's not really going to do much. So they are going to throw the ball. It may be ugly. He may throw 50 attempts, but Jake Browning's going to air it out. He came in last week and went 21 of 32 for 241 yards, 2 TDs. He did have 3 picks, but he put up 240 yards, just boom, 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 and he absolutely blew Chase up. 14 grabs, 165 yards. So on this one, I think we just did the Jake Browning 210 and Jamar 60. They should be able to get that if they're winning or losing. That should be a no-brainer square. I like that one. That was fairly simple, so we plugged that in there. Coming down here, I think Jacksonville wins this game. This is one that our model really likes. We have it 26-16, and the spread's only 1.5. And again, it's not a lot of data, but so far Jacksonville's looked good. C.J. Stroud hasn't done much. 188, 207 yards. Lawrence, so-so the first game, but he really didn't need to do anything in week 1 because ETN rushed for 143 yards. And then the second game, ETN still rushed for 71 yards, and then he threw for 271. So between the two, they're going to do really well. ETN's getting a ton of carries. And so for our Jacksonville square, we went with Jacksonville plus 7.5 because I think they win and cover. So if they lose by a touchdown, that's kind of an easy win. And then I just took ETN 50 yards. He has 143 and then 71, so he should be able to go ahead and put some yards up. Houston's given up 4.4 yards per carry. They're 22nd in rush yards allowed per game, so he should be able to throw up 50. An interesting one was this Tutin guy. So I wanted to get his either rushing attempts, rushing yards, rushing receiving yards, but DK didn't have him up today. I'm sure they will tomorrow, but I would have put him in there if I could have got a real low line because he's, since they traded off, what's his nuts? He went 8 for 42 last week. That was really good. And then he caught 2 balls for 32 yards and even scored. So he's going to get a little bit more action, so I like him as a sneaky play if you're looking for some props. Nothing else in here really jumped out at me. Our target chart, touchdown chart, nothing really jumps out. Brian Thomas getting a bunch of targets, not really doing much with him, but I like the square. Jacksonville plus 7.5, ETN 50 yards. That feels like a pretty good one if we're building a bankroll. We don't have anything on this Green Bay game. I love Green Bay. I've picked their defense up everywhere in fantasy. The problem is Cleveland's defense is really good. So just look at these numbers here. Cleveland, they held Derrick Henry to, I forget, like 16 carries for like 30 yards. Like, it was insane. They're only allowing 2-point yards per rush, 45 yards a game, which is best in the NFL. So the Cleveland defense is phenomenal. Now, their offense still sucks, but defensively, they are really good. So I don't want any Josh Jacobs this week. I took him out of my DFS lineups. And then the Green Bay defense, we've seen them. They're the one we kind of know. Like, they're really good. So this line of 8, I loved Green Bay, but once I saw Cleveland's stats on defense, I went ahead and kind of stayed away from it, even though they did get blown out 41-17 last week. This could be kind of a tricky game. Jacobs has been running the ball a ton, but this could be a tough matchup for him. Quinshawn, I wanted to see what his yardages were. He came back for the first time last week and got 10 carries for 61 and caught all 3 of his balls, so that was pretty impressive. No one else. The receivers are all over the place. Tucker Kraft is the guy everybody's going to go after, but he was injured earlier in the week, so I don't know if he's going to play or be 100%. We saw Brock Bowers play, but he was injured, but not really do much. They were kind of holding him out of the game or the game script. So we stayed away from that one. Atlanta, Carolina, I don't think we did anything on this one. And this is one of the games looking at that I should have probably put in there. Bijan, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts catches. I really like that. But again, they should easily win this game. That's not one that I think I got in here at all. Yeah, I didn't make any notes on it. I mean, there's some good plays, but nothing too crazy in there. And then you could also do some Carolina pass catchers if you wanted to crank it up. And if I get time in the morning, I'm going to do another tic-tac-toe card, but I'm going to do like plus 250 on every square, so it's just stupid payouts, but just do like $5 on all 9 bets and see what it does. Seattle, New Orleans. I don't want any part of New Orleans. I'm going to stay away from them yet. I'm not going to take anyone in the run game. Njigba, however you say his name. I really like him. He's got 17 grabs for 27 yards, so he's doing phenomenal. So we went ahead and we took 6+ catches. Nope, Jackson Smith 5+ catches and Olave 4. So I debated doing 5 or 6 on him. If you want to crank this up, you could do 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. I think 7 is pretty good. There's a high probability of 7 hitting, and you're going to get better odds. 8 is, I believe, plus money. 9 is going to be big plus money, but he's getting the targets. I went with 5+ to be safe. The one I don't like as much is Olave. The reason I went with him is just because he's got 23 targets in 2 games and at least 6 catches, so I took 4 catches. I debated doing 6-4 or 5-5. I went ahead, dropped it down, did 5-4, and took a little bit lower of a payout just to kind of squeeze this one by. Cooper Kupp showed up last week, 7 grabs, 90 yards. He's someone you might consider, but he didn't do anything week 1, so that's one I would want to kind of take a look at. Jawan Johnson's the other one. He's got 13 grabs in 2 games, over 100 yards and a touchdown. I almost put 3+ catches for him. That should be pretty good. I mean, 11 targets, 9 targets. He should be able to grab 3 balls. And then looking at how the team does against tight ends, they're 9th. So not great, not terrible. But I went ahead and left it out just to try to build it up a little bit. This is one of my favorite games. I love the Chargers in this game. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored. This is our AFC West matchup. The Chargers are throwing the ball at a just astronomical clip right now. They can't run. Everybody who drafted Omarion Hampton in the 3rd or 4th round is kicking themselves right now. He got 15 for 48 against Kansas City in week 1. And then last week he had 8 carries for 24 yards. And I believe I heard that he fumbled and they pulled him out and Harris came in and closed out the game and he had 8 for 28. So the Chargers can't run the freaking ball. But look at Justin Herbert, 25 for 34, 19 of 27, 318 yards against Kansas City, 3 touchdowns, 242 and 2 against Vegas. So I like his over 1.5 TDs. That should be pretty good. That's almost a lock at this point. He has been scrambling a little bit. He's got 16 rushing attempts for 63 yards. That's unlike Justin Herbert, but something to keep in mind. If you're wanting to crank this up, what really I find hilarious is all three of these receivers. So McConkey, Keenan, and Johnston, they're plus money. So you got plus 145, plus 220, plus 230 to score a touchdown. Two of these three guys are going to score a touchdown. So you can almost bet all three of them. Say you did a unit, a unit, and a unit, and if one of them hits, if it's Keenan or Quinston, worst case scenario, you're going to break even, win or lose a couple bucks. And if it's Ladd, you're going to lose half a unit if he's the only one that scores. But yeah, I really like those. I couldn't believe they were still, like we said this last week, and I went ahead and I bet Keenan on the DK touchdown prop parlay or whatever, and he ended up, I think he scored the first one right out of the bat. So what we did on this one, Herbert 220 passing yards, Chargers plus 6.5. It should be a tight game. Denver Chargers, I mean, the Chargers beat Kansas City, and they played really well in that game, so Denver can't be any better, so I don't see them losing by 7. And then Troy Franklin, 25 plus yards. He's one of my favorite sneaky props, and I haven't really been paying attention to him, but look at this guy. He didn't do a lot week 1, so we're going to give him a break there. But like last week, he really came on strong. He had 8 grabs out of 9 targets for 89 yards and a touchdown. And even in the first week, he had 6 targets. He grabbed 4 of them for 44 yards. So I think this game could go back and forth. I think the Chargers could be up. So 25 plus yards, the juice on it was very low and allowed me to crank that square up. So I really like that one. Troy Franklin, 25 plus yards is pretty solid. Let me see, Dallas, Chicago. This is the other square that I like. Let me see what I went with. Dallas game over 40.5. I think it goes over 50. And then I took CD 5 catches, O'Dunes 4 catches. So that's fairly simple. That way we've got a receiver on each side, grabbing balls. We're not worried about yardage, long grabs, a lot of dink and dunks. You could get this one pretty easy. I didn't go with any of the quarterbacks. I debated doing Javonte because I think he's going to have a good game, but I went ahead and stayed out of it and just took Rome Adunesday or Dunes, whatever you say, however you say his name. He's pretty much taking over for DJ Moore. I mean, DJ Moore, 3 grabs, 5 targets, 5 grabs, 6 targets, but only 68 and 46 yards. And look at him. He's got 9 targets and 11 targets, so he's averaging 10 targets a week. 6 grabs, 7 grabs, and then last week 128 yards and 2 touchdowns. So I like him. He's going to be a sneaky guy to watch, and he's in a couple of my lineups this week. And then CeeDee Lamb, he's the go-to number 1 guy. 24 targets in 2 weeks, 7 grabs, 9 grabs. Yeah, I'll take him for anything 5, 6, 7, 8. Just kind of depends. This could be a back and forth, so he could go bananas. But 110, 112 yards, you could even do that if you prefer yardages over receptions or if your book doesn't offer it. But yeah, there's a couple different things that you could put in there. And then going down here, San Francisco, Arizona. I didn't do anything this. I'm going to stay away from that game. I don't want to have a lot of late action. Kansas City's the Sunday night game. Jesus, we better win this one. Starting off 0-2 is not the end of the world. I knew Philadelphia, we weren't going to win. Philly was one of our picks, unfortunately, but it did win, so that's a plus. But losing to the Chargers, we didn't really see that coming. So they should win this game. Mahomes should have a big day. Look at the Giants' defense. They're 32nd in rush yards allowed. They're averaging 5.9 yards per rush attempt. I mean, my God. Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco should be able to put some yards down, but we can't run to save our life so far. But the Chargers and Philly both have solid run defenses, so maybe there's something to that. The play we did here is I took Mahomes' rush yards. This one's kind of tricky. What'd I do? Did I do 15 or 25? Oh, I put this one in the middle since it's the primetime game. So if I can lock some squares around it, this might come down to a key contest for us. But I did Mahomes 15 plus rush yards. That feels like a no-brainer. He's got 57 and 66 on 6 and 7 attempts in the first 2 weeks. So 15, he could get that in 1 or 2 scrambles. So let's hope he can get that. And then I just took the other 2 guys. I'm hoping that we're up and the Giants are playing catch-up, and they can't really run the ball, so they have to throw. So we took their 2 receivers, Neighbors, 5 catches, Wandell, 4 catches. And then Neighbors, he got 5 catches in week 1. Last week, 9 catches on 13 targets for 167 yards. So, yeah, he should be able to get there. Wandale's been really impressive. 18 targets in 2 games, and he's got 14 grabs, 6 grabs, 8 grabs last week. So, he's the clear-cut number 2 right now. Slayton, 4 targets in 2 weeks. Not really. Theo Johnson, nothing really there. So, Neighbors. So when I look down here at the target chart and I see stuff like this, like what we see for Puka and Devontae and the Neighbors and Wandale, those are the 2 guys I kind of want to put together because they're going to gobble up all of the targets. So we took Mahomes rush yards, 15. You could crank that to 25 if you want a little bit more of a payday. And then we took Neighbors 5+ catches, Wandale 4+ catches. If I was going to crank this up, I would take Neighbors up to 6 catches and go up a little bit more just because I think they will be playing catch up. But my gosh, if we lose that game, I deserve to lose the Tic-Tac-Toe middle square. And I think that's all. I didn't do anything in the Monday night game. I'm going to save that. But once again, if you want to look at it, here's my early Tic-Tac-Toe board. Other bets I did, DK does a risk-free touchdown bet, and I usually pick 4 guys. I took Jamar Chase because he was plus 140, Keenan Allen because he scored 2 weeks in a row, Javonte Williams because he scored both weeks, and then I took Devontae Adams, and that paid... Oh, I didn't write it down, but it paid a bunch of money. It was a fun one. And then I did a round robin of basically all plus money legs, and I did round robins of 3, and I took Puka 8+ catches, Franklin 5+ catches, Jackson Smith and Njigba 8+ catches, and then 2 small same game parlays. I took Mahomes 25 rush yards with Wandale 6 catches. And then I took O'Doon 6 catches and CeeDee Lamb 8 catches. So all of those were good plus money. And then if you put them all together, $2 paid 787. So I think I had like 250 and it paid over $800. So that was a fun one. And then I did some smaller 3x round robins. But anyways, good luck, guys. I hope you guys like the cheat sheet. I did flip it up a little bit this week. But I posted my plays in there for the premium members, the 5 bets that I do like. Our model did really good on the Thursday night game with Buffalo. Our model, I believe we had this. Let's see, where was our scoreboard? Yeah, we had it by Buffalo by 9. The spread was 12, 12.5, and then Buffalo won by 10. So our model was pretty close. We said, Buffalo's going to win, but not, blow them out of the water, and that's kind of what happened. So we stayed away from Buffalo laying the points. And then we hit our same game parlay that was like 4-1 that we posted. That was like Buffalo race to 25. James Cook was the best bet for rush yards. And then, we had a couple other things in there. I can't remember what they were. But anyways, good luck. Have a good day.